We are going to discuss section 5.5, which is adding and subtracting like fractions. And what it means by the word like is that their denominators or their bottom numbers are the exact same thing. So let's say I have like 3/7 plus 5/7. Notice how the 7 matches up. Now you can only do this if the bottom matches. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But then tomorrow we'll actually talk about what you do when they don't match up. So if the bottom matches up, you just add straight across. So 3 plus 5 is 8. You do not add the 7 and 7 together. You just bring the 7 over. Now, that's an improper fraction because the 8 is larger than the 7. So I've got to divide the 7 into the 8. It goes one time with 1 left over. So then I take that, place it over the divisor. So I have 1 and 1/7 as my final answer. Let's do another one of those. Let's say I have -4/9 plus 2/9. Now you must apply your positive and negative rules. And remember, if you're adding and the signs are different, which they are in this, I'm going to subtract the smaller number from the larger and use the sign of the larger number. So -4 plus 2 is -2, and then I just bring the 9 straight over. That's not an improper fraction, and it can't be reduced. So that's going to be my final answer. Okay, so it's just a matter of adding the top numbers together. So if I have something like this, they're both negative. Remember, the rule for negative is you add them and use their sign. So that's going to be -11/11, which that is equal to -1. Okay, because 11 divided by 11 is 1. So this is just adding common or like fractions. But sometimes you have mixed numerals that you're adding. So let's say I have 2 and 1/4 plus 5 and let's do 5 1/4. Okay, there are two different ways to do this problem. The first way, method 1, change to improper fractions first. Okay, so I'm going to change this. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 9, so that gives me 9/4, plus 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 more is 21/4. Now I just add straight across like I was doing with this one. So that gives me a 30/4, which is an improper fraction, so I'm going to divide 4 into 30, the bottom into the top. Goes 7 times with 2 left over, so I have 7 2/4, which 2/4 reduces down to 1/2. So 7 1/2 would be my final answer. Now, method 2. Method 2, I write them up and down. I add my fractions, so that's going to give me 1 plus 1, which is 2, which is 2/4. And you have 2 plus 5, which is 7. I just have to reduce 2/4 down by dividing the top and the bottom by 2, and I get the same answer. So it really does not matter which way you want to do it. You do it however makes the most sense to you. This way can get complicated. That way you get bigger numbers with. So it just depends on you. Now, we're going to do the same thing with subtraction, because the same rules apply to subtraction. Just be careful of your positive and negative rules. So let's go back just to the fractions here and go 7/8 minus 1/8. I'm just going to subtract the top, as I write a 6. 7 minus 1 is 6, so that gives me 6/8. I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2. which is going to give me 3/4. Okay, you're doing the exact same thing. Just be careful, like if I'm subtracting a negative, remember I have to add the opposite of the second number, and then that would be 8/8 or 1. Okay, if I change my 1/8 to a negative 1/8. Same thing with your mixed numerals. If I have 5 2/3 minus 2 1/3, if you want to make them into mixed numerals first, that's going to be 3 times 5 plus 2, which is 17/3, minus 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3, which is going to give me 10/3. Divide the 3 into the 10, and it gives me 3 1/3. That's method 1. If I did method 2, I have 5 2/3 minus 2 1/3, which gives me a 1/3 here and a 3 here. Now sometimes you've got to borrow on this, and that's what makes it a little bit more complicated. So that's adding and subtracting with mixed numerals, but then we want to add the algebraic fractions in here. Let's say I have an n/8 plus a 5n/8. I add the tops, so that's a 1n, so it's 5 plus 1, which is a 6, so I have 6n/8. I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2, and that's going to give me a 3n/4, and that's going to be my final answer. If I have something that looks like this, a 5/2b plus a 3/2b, notice that the bottom is where the variable is, so I just bring the 2b over. 5 plus 3 is 8, but I can reduce 8/2. If I divide them both by 2, it's going to give me a 4 on the top, and 2b divided by 2, which looks like this, just gives me a b left on the bottom. Okay? And same thing with subtraction. If I were to subtract this one, change my addition to subtraction here. Let's say it's a different problem. I'm going to subtract my top, so I'm going to get a 2/2b. Notice these I can both divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2b divided by 2 is b. So I get a 1/b. Okay. All right. So that's really all the information for section 5.5. So I'm going to go ahead and give you your homework for this section. Sometimes one other part of this is they do the evaluation where they go at the top, A is equal to 1/8 and B is equal to 3/8, and you want to evaluate for A minus B. Remember on those, you're substituting n, so I have 1/8 minus 3/8. I'm going to add the opposite of the second number, so I have a -3 plus 1, which gives me a -2/8, which I can divide the top and the bottom by 2 here, which gives me a -1/4. Okay, those, you might see a few like that. Those are just the evaluation ones. You've been doing those for a while. So your homework, page 222 through 223. I want you to do 16 through 44 even. Now some of those are starred, so just understand some are going to be a little harder, and just do your best job to try and do them. Okay.